Hello and welcome to the 2023 Savannah Open. You're watching round 3 front 10 coverage. And I'm Jacob Chesser, and I'm joined by my good buddy, Adam Howard.
Hello. What is up, Ace Run Nation? Excited to see almost the conclusion. We've still got a final 6 after this, but we will see what happens.
Yeah, so this is the second day. Weather's a little bit different, a little cooler. Still some wind to deal with that we saw in round 1 and 2. Maybe a little toned down, but still gusty. Martin Kneece tied for the lead at 17 under. Really good, consistent player, straight thrower, great putter. Have myself here tied with Martin at the top at 17 under. And then we have Isaac Robinson right on our heels at 14 under. And right behind him, we've got Shue making his way down from Charlotte, North Carolina.
And now we are on hole 1 from the gold tees here. This is a par 3, 319 feet. It's moved over about 50 feet to the left of the black tee pad. You still have the out-of-bounds road on the right. This is a dead straight tunnel shot. These guys are probably going to be throwing mid-ranges, but really anything in your bag that you can throw 320 feet dead straight is what you're going to lean to on this one.
Yeah, if you thought the black tee pad was tight, this one is, I would say 10 to 15% even more tight than that. First throw here for me, hands are still cold, and just early release it just off the left. I get extremely lucky to get that far down, honestly.
Yeah, this one can be a pretty tough scramble for sure if you get off to the left or the right.
Martin a little off as well.
What
Gets
a
an
kick.
Awesome ricochet off the tree. So he's going to be putting just outside of the circle.
Oh, that was looking so good. That just shows you how tight this hole is. That was basically a perfect shot. Oh, and he
Grady
squeaks
trying to
by
make the
it.
correction. And just outside the circle. Yeah, just goes to show you how difficult this hole is, especially right off the bat, early in the morning. Hands are still cold. So it is what it is. We'll all, a couple of them, I guess, have a look. Me and Isaac are a little further out, and so we're just trying to get up there closer to the basket, but we'll see what we can do from range here. Not my best effort, but I'll tap that in for a par.
Excited to see Martin run this one. Like we've talked about in previous rounds, he's an awesome putter. Gives it a pretty good bid there. First one of the day, circle 2 putt. Getting that close to drawing medals, just fine for hole 1. He'll tap in a par. And Grady still on it. Let's get a run back from this. This dude has been on fire from circle 2 in these rounds. It's been a lot of fun to watch.
Grady's putter was scorching hot in round 1 and 2, and he keeps it going here in round 3. Right off the rip, circle 2, right in the heart. Great pace on. And he's going to need to keep that going.
Good cleanup by Isaac there. I think it's also important to note Grady is still rocking that sweatshirt. I'm convinced that is the reason why he's putting so well.
The rest of us tap in pars. Grady gets the lone birdie. And we're heading on to the treacherous hole 2. See if we can get out of here clean.
That really is a pretty solid group. Even one birdie in the MPO field on that hole from that pad is pretty good. Another birdie that'd be good to get is hole 2. This is a par 4 coming in at 506 feet. Our tee pad is moved back probably 70 or 80 feet back and to the left You do get an extra stroke on this one being a par 4, but you're trying to throw anything that you can get remotely close to the fairway. Good landing spot is across the ditch by the bridge, and then you'll have a scramble up to the basket to try and get a birdie 3. 4 is really not a bad score on this one either.
Yeah, this hole also averaged over par by about a quarter of a stroke. It kind of makes the traditional hyzer a little easier, but it's obviously still, you know, further back. So like you said, a 4 is good. I thought I laced this here. I flipped it up just the way I wanted, and it sneaks in right there. I'll take that every time. Across the creek or past the bridge right there, you're loving life on that side.
Oh, he does.
Martin calling for it to get lucky. And if you don't ask, you don't get.
Man, he gets a great kick, too, getting off to that right side.
And open footing, too, yeah.
He'll have a good angle to the basket from there. It's going to be a tough spot there. Doesn't look like he went out of bounds, but he's going to be pretty far over there to the left, and that is a horrible position to try to scramble from.
Yeah, we get to see another Isaac Robinson forehand here. Keep the ticker going from the previous rounds. And he didn't have very much to work with there. He gets about half the distance back. So he should have a decent, maybe 180 feet to the basket from there, which is usually no problem for him. Grady with a really weird angle here. Throws it on a flex forehand.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my goodness. That's ridiculously good.
That's really what you have to do on this hole. You know, if you get a good drive, you know, even kind of where you landed, you've still got a pretty difficult and technical scramble up to the basket, almost no matter where you land from. Looked like you had a pretty good angle there, able to have a lot of room to flex that A2, I'm guessing.
Yep, that was A2 again. And it was kind of right in the middle of the fairway for me, or a little side fairway. Isaac gives it a great run from, I don't even know, maybe 120 feet out. Gives it a chance. Martin pulled his previous shot over a little bit, so he's kind of forced to lay this one up with a tree in the way. Grady putting for his birdie here, trying to keep his putter hot. And he does just that.
This one always feels good to get. You know, par doesn't feel bad, but birdie really does feel great on this one.
Right, yeah, I mean, you're getting a stroke and a quarter on the field, getting a 3 here. Oh, he squared the pole up with one of those little open gaps. Martin and Isaac a little frustrated with their pars there, but still played that one, you know, better than the field and lived to fight another day. Didn't lose a stroke. So on to the next hole.
Our next one is hole 3. We've seen this. This is the same tee pad as the black tee layout we played in round 1. You've got just a smorgasbord of options on this one off the tee. You can go dead straight at it. You can throw a flex forehand around the right side. You can throw a hyzer forehand on the left. Or you can do something crazy with some kind of overhand tomahawk or thumber. You kind of see a really mixed bag of shots off the tee on this one. So we'll see what everybody decides to do. See if anybody changes up their shot from round 1. Grady going with the kind of flexed over forehand and doing a phenomenal job threading it through all those trees. Looks like you might be trying a similar line here. I'm going the
I'm trying to follow Grady's shot here. Nope, okay. Yeah, I'm going with the Anheuser. Put it about 10 feet wider than I needed to. Just kind of slipped out of my fingers there. Not what you want.
Should be a pretty easy up and down for the par, though, from that right side. You're kind of sharing the red pad of hole 16's fairway once you get out of the woods over there to the right. And another forehand from Isaac Robinson. Early releases this one just a tad. He should have a jump putt approach up to save his par.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, I kicked so far to the right that I'm actually just completely in wide open, separate holes fairway. So I wasn't mad about that. Was mad about the drive, but we'll take a wide open approach every time. Isaac hates it out of his hand. You know, a little frustrated with the last few shots he's thrown there.
Oh, just coming up short there for Martin. Looked like a pretty good run. He's going to definitely wish he had that one back. Isaac cleans up his par with a good putt. And
yeah, Martin was kind of forced to go Anheuser there. He's normally more of a hyzer putter with all the kind of understable putter he uses and, you know, gets the glide up and going. So just not his natural stroke, but normally you see him make those. So I tap out my par there. That's not a birdie, but yeah, you know, I'm losing a stroke usually on this one, taking a par.
so we've got Grady Shue starting off with a turkey here from the hardest tee pad layout that we have at Tom Triplett. Moving on to hole 4, this is one of the more daunting holes in this layout. You've got a little over 300-foot water carry off the tee through a gap. Then you're playing up along this spine all the way with out-of-bounds water on the left, out-of-bounds path on the right, and then you've got a precariously perched basket up on these railroad ties here. So you're putting up to an elevated basket. Once you finally make it all the way down there, this is a par 5 coming in at 961 feet. Play you can see sometimes is laying up to the path. I imagine all these guys are going for it. So this is where you can start to have some problems. This is not the hardest gap to hit off the tee, but it's, you know, definitely not an easy one either.
Right, yeah. Number one priority, hit the gap for sure. And it's just a kind of a weird mentality coming off of the previous hole, 180 feet. Next shot you throw is on almost 1,000-foot par 5. You know, just kind of juxtapose those mentalities together, and you're like, you know, you got a really weird predicament on your mind here.
Yep, we've got Martin.
You see Martin jumping up to the sidewalk here, like you were just mentioning. Grady about 15 feet to the right of him. You know, not on purpose, but he's gonna have an interesting decision to make.
So it's like a great rip from Isaac. It's got enough stability to come back. This path on the right is still out of bounds. That's just about an ideal landing spot. He's going to be running uphill just a little bit behind the red pad. Grady here is going to have a decision to make, just like Chester was saying. And you also have to decide not only if you're going to go for it, but how you're going to go for it. Looks like he's going to lay up here and get some good footing.
Yeah, so there's no Mandos anywhere on this hole, so you can play it as far down this path as you want. But the further left you go, the wider this gap is that they're about to try and throw across. A lot of Anheuser on this one, but he has enough distance to sneak it over. Grady's taken an angle that's much more direct at the basket, about a 500, almost a 500-foot carry on the angle that he's throwing at.
Oh, no.
And just kind of turns it over a little more than he was hoping. Didn't give it the height he wanted.
Yeah, that's his...
And you can see how close it is to that OB line. He's only about 8 feet short of it.
It's looking a little better.
Tries to make the correction here. Still really low. Oh, but sneaks it over with a kiss of a couple leaves. Not what he was wanting there. But he's going to have a chance to get up and down from that spot. I ended up in the most unusual spot in the fairway, got across, and somehow right in front of a bush that I'm going to have to straddle and be standstill. Really unfortunate.
That's got some stability. Looks like he should be okay with this one. Oh, that's a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. End up in bounds?
Yeah, it's in bounds. It's in bounds. A little bit of a headwind here. It kind of flipped my force over. I was trying to just throw that on a regular plain stock hyzer, and it kind of flipped me up a little bit. Got me a little scared there. Isaac taking just a spike hyzer angle. One angle shot. Nice and easy.
Martin putting a great move on this one and hitting the railroad ties and then getting a bounce and roll to probably 25 feet, I'd guess, from the basket.
Yeah, he threw an absolute dart there. A little unlucky with the roll away, but still well inside of his range, as good of a putter as he is. Grady with a really weird footing there. Really weird footing. Just kind of like holes in the ground that he was trying to navigate without rolling his ankle.
Yeah.
Did a multiple different little walk-ups as he was trying to figure that out. I've got a ton of grass right in my face and a bush I tried to get over here.
That's a good result.
Kind of sneak one in. Yeah, just a couple of sketchy shots there back to back for me. The disc is kind of sticking in my hand right now.
And Isaac with a very routine approach here. He's going to skip that off a little bit short and left, but he's well inside. It's probably close to circle one's edge right there. And honestly, I've lost count of what stroke this is for Grady, but this is a very big putt to try to salvage this hole. And a good run.
Ended up somehow just inside the circle here. You can see the banners of the flags kind of waving at me. This is definitely a nervy putt. If you airball it, like we mentioned last round, you're going about 20, 25 feet long. And I just didn't commit to it. Isaac, however, does commit to it. Makes a great putt. A lot of confidence, a lot of pace on it. Puts it right in the heart.
Oh, no, don't roll. Yeah, Martin there, just not quite committed to that one as well. Especially at the end of the tournament when you're, kind of knotted up at the lead. It's very easy to get in your head on an elevated basket like this. If you do airball or have a roll away, this can kind of spiral out of control and become a blow-up hole for you really quick. I know personally, during my 2 rounds or 3 rounds playing on this basket, I saw several people, 3 and even 4 putting on this one. So, being a little bit shy on your run, coming up low off the cage or, hitting the pole, you're still, there for the tap in on your next one. But moving on to hole 5.
Yeah, that's probably the good miss.
Yep. Moving on to hole 5. We've played this one before in round 1. Same tee pad. We've got a par 3 coming in at 380 feet with out-of-bounds road on the right, and you've got pretty dense woods to the left. Everything kind of gets a lot closer to the basket with the road being inside circle 1 here on the right. This is just, again, a stock hyzer play from these guys, most likely with a fairway driver. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, something overstable that you trust, is going to fade out at the end, throw it over the road, give it some height.
This looks perfect.
Give it a chance to kind of stick in. That's exactly what Isaac's doing here.
Oh, a lot of ground
play. And it just gets that downhill slope and just shoots into the woods. Just a little unlucky there from him.
Is this
going with a force?
Okay. It's got the width.
And it's got the sploosh. Oh. That's one way to get your disc to check up.
This is holding straight. Looked initially like it might end up a little bit far left. And wow, the soft ground play here. He'll be probably inside 20 feet for his birdie look there. That was a great shot.
Yeah, that's the benefit of not throwing the straight hyzer angle. His was finishing more straight, so he's not going to get that huge leftward skip that Isaac ended up getting. Grady pushes his straight also, a very similar route and a very similar result. That mud's good and bad.
Yeah, for sure. Really solid group of drives here. Isaac getting kind of the unfortunate ground play. Now he's got an obstructed straddle putt, and he's contending with this little tree on his right. But it doesn't matter. Great putt, great birdie.
A little trick putt there from circle's edge from Isaac. Probably the longest you'll see him think about a putt right there. Went in. Martin with the tap in from about 20 feet. Great drive from him. Great touch off the tee pad.
Very nice there.
Grady keeping the putter hot.
Yep. Come to think of it, I can't remember the last time I saw Isaac straddle putt in any round.
I'm putting these new idiosyncrasies to the test here, seeing seeing if they're truly waterproof, asking my card if I'm good there. They said I'm good.
I think,
There you go.
you know.
Star.
Oh, there it is.
Landed it.
Tried to pull an Isaac right there.
Love it. So if there is any time in a tournament to just commit and soak your feet, it's to, you know, not have to take an extra 10 feet of relief for a birdie putt. You know, that's one.
Oh, that would have been every bit of 10 feet. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Moving on to hole 5B. This is a par 3 coming in at 348 feet. You know, again, extremely tight fairway. This hole hasn't been beaten down as much as the rest of the course. This is the newest hole that we have in this layout. You're going to try to throw something on a hyzer that is going to stand up and carry straight enough to get you the distance to get down there, hopefully without hitting anything. This is a really good one to get.
Yeah, really interesting line. The trees are shaped in a way that you really almost have to have your disc coming out on like a spike hyzer angle to really have your best shot at getting through them, which is what I'm trying to do here, just to make my disc a little skinnier. And it just kisses the one tree that's kind of hanging over the middle of the fairway.
Yep.
Shoots me off into the side there. I'm gonna have some tricky stuff to deal with over there.
A little bit of a grip block there from Martin, and as you can see, you know, if you get off to the left or the right, it is a very, very difficult and technical scramble to save your par.
Yeah, palmettos everywhere, Spanish moss hanging down, privet.
Looks good.
All kinds of things you can get in the way. Phenomenal shot from Grady to the edge of circle there. You don't get to see that very often. Martin ended up kind of in the middle of these two fairways, so he's got flat footing, but he's going to have to pull out a sweet trick shot to try and get down here. And he almost does up there in circle 2. Really good shot to be that, you know, that close now from where he was. You can see all the little trees and twigs up in my way. I'm trying to punch something through a little window. I've got a 2 foot by 2 foot box to kind of putt through. That's about as good as I could do from back there.
Yep. Looks like Martin has a lengthy bid here. Love to see him make a good run on this one. Looks like he got tangled up in his feet a little bit, didn't have a super clean release.
Yeah, a little root right in his way.
Isaac off the band, run it back.
Off the band and in.
Look at this thing just shoot right down, kind of elevator down after hitting the band. That's awesome. And with that, Isaac is one of 2 players in the field to birdie hole 5B all 3 rounds. The other player being yours truly. And Grady with a great putt there too for a bird. That's a
you're always happy with the par on this one.
Yep.
The 2 is really just, I mean, asking a lot on this hole. I'm not sure what this one averaged. I think it averaged over par though.
Definitely.
Yeah, it did average 3.47 for a, you know, pretty short par 3.
Now we're moving on to hole 6. This is a par 4, 558 feet, out of bounds road all the way down on the right. And then once you clear these trees, you have an out of bounds path on the left. Again, just blasting a hyzer as far as you can off the tee. And then the only real trouble here is on your approach shot to this precariously perched basket here on the end of this peninsula. That's a great...
Isaac here, up here on the flat ground.
Yep.
That's a great spot to be. Didn't need it. You don't need huge distance off the tee. It's a little bit helpful, but good footing is just as good as distance here, because you're gonna be under 200 feet on your next shot almost always.
Oh my gosh!
Grady gets the great footing and the distance.
Wow.
He might be jump putting.
Yeah, on this one, your 2 collection areas are usually right on top or at the bottom of that ditch. So as long as you're not landing on that side hill, like it looks like you might be. Now you're going to get the roll down to the bottom. You usually have pretty good footing on this one. It's just, are you even with the basket, or are you throwing from below the basket, being in that ditch? And Martin is going to
Martin's
be
show you what that side hill looks like. Yep.
Yeah, that's going to change your, your shot selection a little bit. I imagine he'd probably go with the standstill forehand from there.
Take a zone here, try and throw it up.
And there he goes.
Get a pretty unfortunate roll away, and that's what we were talking about last round. You really need to
Oh
land
my
this
gosh.
thing. That was a huge roll. I don't know if I deserved that.
What a roll.
But you really have to land it about 10 feet short here to feel good about, how it's going to check up. I landed that at the pin and then got a nice 70-foot roll. So That's going to be a pretty easy decision on the comeback. Isaac puts a good one right there, right outside the bullseye.
Martin does go with the backhand here. I guess he's throwing that breaker again, probably.
Yeah, that's his breaker.
And that's really where you don't want to end up. That's decision time for sure. I'd imagine, where he's at score-wise and this being the final round, he's probably got to run that one.
Grady with a little 20% forehand pitch up here. He probably could have jump putted that.
So what's going through your mind right here?
Bullseye.
If you hit cage or something, you can get another roll away. It looks like there's a little bit of wind. Are you laying this up, or are you trying to give this a soft bid?
Well, it's uphill, so I just try to give it a little nose up, floaty sort of. If I miss, it's going to be short. And if the wind wants to lift me up and give it a chance, that's good.
Oh my gosh, let's go. That's what I like to see. We'll run it back here.
Classic Martin right here.
Look at that,
Starts to bend down, pick up the mini, knows it's in, corner pocket. Great putt for Martin.
Oh my gosh, the short miss from Isaac. And he's all the way down to the
giving
bottom.
him a little bit of trouble now. Getting razzed by the dogs in the back maybe a little bit. These next few holes are right next to the dog park. He's going to be a little frustrated about that.
Beautiful birdie.
Grady makes this look like it's the easiest hole he's ever played.
It really is all about that approach. If you have a good approach, this does look like a super easy hole. But, with this card, you can see just how touchy it is and just what can happen if you're just barely off on that approach shot.
Yep. All right, on to hole 7, 427 feet. You got a couple options here. You can take a forehand or a putter and try and pitch it up right there to where that person's standing. Most of us aren't going to take the route the drone's flying. There's also another big high Anheuser or big high understable turning shot you can try to get down here. A little more dangerous, but we'll see what the players go with. Grady up first with the birdie on the previous hole. Takes a real overstable disc, gives it a good rip on the forehand.
Yep. I think the safer play off the tee is definitely throwing that forehand into that second fairway. It looks like Martin's in attack mode after making that big dangerous circle 2 putt. And it looks like he fights through. He'll be in the middle there in between the blue fairway and the and the second longer fairway, but hopefully he'll have a scramble.
Yeah, Grady and Martin are going to have a couple magnolias to deal with here. I'm going with a pretty understable Hades.
Oh my gosh, that's the ideal line.
Trying to get it to turn all the way over.
Just finishes a little bit straight, looks like.
Yeah, I didn't give it quite enough height. Isaac throwing his PA3, just putting it right there at the front of the fairway, and he's going to pick it up and throw it again. Just cutting the hole in half.
Oh, man, just hanging it a little bit wide.
Pushes it a little wide, yep. Tricky shot here from Grady with his zone.
You know, if we see Grady,
a good run.
If we see Grady pick up that disc for any kind of approach shot, my money's on him putting it inside circle 1. He's been dialed with that thing all weekend.
Here's a nice 150-gram DX Beast shot. Extremely understable. Give it a chance to
I love
roll and curl back around. My get out of jail free card there.
It's like throwing a paper plate.
Way pinched. Yeah, it's essentially a hefty plate there, and it's got a use in my bag for sure.
Wow. Oh, don't get a roll. Okay, he'll be fine right there. What a shot.
Really tight gap there from Martin. Really throwing the forehands with those breakers well.
He's got it.
See Grady's framed up here with about a 14-inch gap to fit his disc through. He's only 18 feet away, but still a little nerve-wracking.
Yep.
Good committed putt there from him. The rest of us are about 15 feet out.
You know, that's one of those putts that you really don't even hardly have to look at the basket. As long as you make that first cap, you know, there's not really any other option for it to go in.
Right. Martin with a nice flat footing on the bridge to the next hole.
And the 150 DX Beast prevails again. If you don't have one in your bag, maybe you should get one.
You can find them in the used bin at almost any of your local retailers. So go out there and mess with it, see what you can do with it.
Alrighty, moving on to hole 8 here in the gold layout. This is a par 3 at 280 feet. This shares the same tee pad as the black tees from round 1. Our options are going to be flexing an overstable forehand off the tee to make sure you hit the first gap and make it across the road. I think we'll see a couple of backhands as well. That seems to be the better way to just really park this pin, but that first gap is a little bit scarier taking that backhand angle.
If I recall, we've got a little bit of a headwind right here. Yeah, you can see the leaves kind of whipping. Grady's trying to flip something up and over. Pushes it pretty straight. It's trying to turn right there outside the circle for him. He's going to have an open look for his 2.
Looks like Martin's electing to go with the backhand here as well. I guess that's his buzz he's been throwing all round or all tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, great shot.
So smooth, so controlled. Looked like he'd put 20% effort into that. Kind of roll my wrist here a little bit with this forehand.
Wow, did you
But it's super overstable.
Able to get back to enough edge to get the skip off the road there, I guess?
Yeah, it's a really overstable Firebird, and it was able to fight back and get a little rim for me. Isaac going straight at it again.
Yeah.
Great shot from him. Kicks him to about 18.
Oh, man, what a great bid.
Yeah, a little unlucky. Like I said, that little headwind we've got right here picked me up a hair, but I was happy with that bid. Always happy to hit the band. Never happy to hit the basket.
Yeah, it looks like Grady having to go to more of an Anheuser shape to get around that tree. That's not really his preferred angle either. Isaac makes good on a short one for a birdie. As does Martin. So for everybody watching at home, that little discussion right there, the rules or the etiquette is to let whoever is furthest away from the basket throw first. But in a situation like this where you've got to tap in, you've got to walk past the basket that way, it's, if you just ask, hey, do you mind if I tap in before someone throws, that's perfectly acceptable, can speed up the pace of play a little bit.
Good point there. Yeah, me and Martin tied back up again at 20. Grady and Isaac tied up at 17, just behind us. Got a good long shot here. Go ahead and tell us about this hole, Adam.
We've got hole 9, another par 4 coming in at 539 feet. You're going to throw something straight off the tee and then have it start to hyzer at about 300 feet. If you give it enough height and you throw the right disc with enough overstability, you can get yourself a look down here for a long 2 bid for an eagle. This one averaging half a stroke under par. So as long as you have a decent tee shot, you've got a really good look at the birdie here. And it looks like Martin's done just that.
He's got something overstable there. Kind of stands it up a little bit more than he was probably wanting. But again, like you were saying, he's probably only 100 and 120 out from where he's at now. Isaac reaching for that. I think that's a D1 again. Gets a good flare.
Yeah, he's going to have a look at it too.
That's the ideal fairway right there that he just put that one on. Grady flipping his up a little bit, kind of like Martin did. Pushing it a little straighter than he was wanting. Didn't get that late fade that he was hoping for.
Oh, and the fade after the skip. That's a kind of a misrelease from you being that low, but you're going to end up in a great spot.
Yeah, back to back, kind of lucky breaks there for me, getting enough rim on the ground to flare and continue pushing forward. So I'm not too upset about it. I've got a wide open look at the basket, and I don't really make the most of it.
Yeah, leaving a little bit of meat on the bone on that one, but you will have a looks like circle 1 putt.
Yeah, just a step outside.
And big surprise here, Grady with the touch forehand, putting it within about 6 feet of the pin.
Yeah, he's been really, really good with that disc this whole tournament.
Kind of snaking it through a little tiny gap here, but having a great result. He'll have a tap in. Let's see if Isaac can give this one a good bid for the 2. Oh my gosh, he does. Right off the rim.
Yeah, just didn't give it enough height there. Kind of rushed my routine a little bit. Not committed to it. Gonna try and turn that around here as we move forward. Grady making another hole look like it's the easiest hole he's played. Giving some love to the basket. Martin tapping in his birdie as well. Tapping in my frustrating par there and on to the next one.
Yep, looks like we'll have a little bit of a swing in the scores here as Martin takes a 1-stroke lead. And that is going to wrap up our front 10 here for round 3 of the 2023 Savannah Open. We've got Martin Kneece with a 1-stroke lead through 10 holes. Jacob Chesser 1 stroke behind. Grady and Isaac hanging out there pretty close. And then we've got a lot of people right there at that 15 under score.
Yeah, nobody has won this tournament yet by a long shot, and so it's gonna take some good shots, some good putts, some consistent approaches. We're gonna have to hit some lines here moving forward to see who's gonna take this down.
That's right.
Come back and watch the back 9 with us. Appreciate you guys watching on Ace Run Pro.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a like on this video, and comment what is the worst vehicle you have been razzed by in a round. 6,
7, 6,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.